Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Monahan here, and I want to fill you in about media bias before we start our unit. So the first website I want to go to is Student News Daily, and this talks about how a reporter's job is to give a balanced story. So naturally, human beings are going to have a slant, and sometimes, especially with the American media, there's going to be a conservative bias or a liberal bias. And we're going to learn about the different types of bias later this week, but I want to show you some examples. So here is headline politics, and it's the worst media bias of 2014. So let me show you one of these.
Whoever the suspect is doesn't need to be taking orders from ISIS necessarily. They just need to be affiliated mentally. Their mindset needs to be with ISIS in order for it to be terrorism. Mark, go ahead.
I reject that idea. Just similarly, I reject the idea that a beheading as such means terrorism. And it's certain people behead for all sorts of reasons, all of them disturbing, all of them disgusting. But the act of beheading per se does not make it terrorism. Now, the question of whether this person had a religious connection to Islam is an interesting one and a necessary one to ask. But again, because someone is Muslim and they commit an act of workplace violence, that doesn't necessarily make them a terrorist.
Exactly, but this isn't workplace violence for crying out loud. Come on, you've got a situation here where this guy is watching all these videos. Mark, what is the downside to calling this terrorism? What is it, that the FBI and the federal government are going to admit that we've got a problem here?
I'll be happy to respond to all of your...
The war on terror also includes the internet and the fact that they are recruiting people and asking people to do things.
You can tell from just a piece of this short clip that instead of the media just talking about the event, they talk about it with their own background and their own sensibilities, which is obviously biased because they're showing their perspective. Here are some actual headlines from the actual headlines versus Fox News. So here's one: the USDA gay sensitivity training seeks larger audience. And this is from an AP photo that you see. And then the Fox News: Obama bureaucrats imposing radical homosexual sensitivity training, ? So see how the same story depicted as USDA gay sensitivity training seeks larger audience, that same thing can be spun as negative to the president and the Democratic Party in general. And here's another one: Michelle Bachmann's first dude. So she's talking about if she ran for president, what her husband would be called, because obviously that's new. You know, I don't know if you'd be the first man if you're not the first lady or first gentleman. And then so the story says Michelle Bachmann's growing 2012 buzz won't just put her positions under microscope. Her husband, Marcus, a Christian counselor, believes in homosexual agenda, blah, blah, blah. And then she says the left launches attack on Bachmann's husband. So Michelle Bachmann's first dude was from another website, another news source. And then the same here: Malaysia police slammed for cattle branding women, and then Malaysian Muslims cattle brand prostitutes. So see the difference, like whether it's women or prostitutes, the different spin there. And that's really what media bias is having a spin based on your political preference. And then here's misleading headlines. This is from Student News Daily too. So initial reports, some jarring headline fails. Take the Associated Press first headline was Israeli police shoot man in East Jerusalem. And then Jerusalem driver shot after ramming pedestrians, basically says police. 9 hurt as car hits pedestrians at Jerusalem station. And then Jerusalem car attack kills baby at rail station. So see how, you know, it's not a straightforward, basic report on the news. It's much more biased in one direction or the other. So what I need you to do after you watch this is you go on the portal, okay, and then this is on the topics page for the media, and then it says I want to share and then see right here it says what are your questions for this unit. You get graded on this, so I want you to say that you want to look at media sources, look at how we can make it better, if you need government regulation, because I want you to see that when you look at a story, it's presented by not only the bias of the reporter, but the bias of the news organization that he or she works for. So I want you to do this tonight. This is Sunday night that you're watching this, hopefully, or at least that's my plan. And then tomorrow in class, you're going to look at the different types of media bias and some more examples. So have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.